podcast. We are with our travel studio today in Fletcher, North Carolina, in the most random place right near Asheville, North Carolina. And we're just here on a guy's trip together with a bunch of the guys that I know. Fellas, welcome.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Hey, Eddie.
It's good to be together. This is just a guy's trip that we take every single year, and I've been wanting to kind of showcase our relationship with one another and the brotherhood that the Lord has helped us form over well over a decade, decade and a half, maybe closer to 2 decades with some of you guys. Just the journey that we've been on, and to kind of just provide a window and a little bit of insight into everything that God's been doing in all of your guys' lives. And so we're joined in the studio today with Justin, who's the producer over the podcast. And Jay and I, we've done ministry together for many, many years. Youth board ministry together. We've traveled together. We've spent a lot of time together lately because of the studio. We're together every week, multiple times. And it's just been a really good journey. And then you've served in activities and stuff, and you were head of sound and ran all of the sound for all of the summits and the lead retreats and just a lot of projects over the many years, small group discipleship leader. And then Jonathan's here. He's visiting from out of town. Jonathan, you and I have had a really long relationship as well. Like
17 years?
Yeah, coming up on 17 years now.
Yeah.
And you were originally a youth in our youth ministry, and then joined our youth board, and then we served together in small group discipleship. You and I co-led a small group for small group discipleship for many years.
7, 8 years?
Yeah, 7, 8 years.
Mhm.
We'd meet together every week and just pour out and facilitate these meetings with all these different guys. And so we've been in ministry together for a long time. You helped run security at all of our events and stuff. And we'll actually, our listeners will get to know you a lot better because we're going to record together in just a couple of days, just you and I. And that's going to be a really good time. And so I'll talk a little bit more about your background then as well. Currently, you're a police officer in South Lake Tahoe.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's been a journey.
It's fun.
We'll get into all of that in a couple of days. And then, John, you and I have known each other for a very long time as well. I remember when you guys first came to our church, you and your family and your brother Mark.
Yep.
And when we started doing small group discipleship ministry together, and that's been a real journey. And then you went to Romania, and then you came back, and then just your whole entire story, which we definitely have to share that at some point in time because God's been very faithful in your journey and your walk. And just a great relationship. And now you're in Georgia for like another 2 months, and
Hopefully less.
and then you'll be back in Tennessee, and got married out here, and got your contractor's license, licensed general contractor in the state of Tennessee. Great. And so it's been a really good journey. And then Adi, you and I have known each other for many, many years.
I don't even know how long.
I know, right? Since you were in your teens.
Yeah, early teens.
Yeah. Back when you were just a little kid in Sunday school in the room next door to mine. Yeah. Where your sister was teaching, and you would leave her class and she would get mad because you would come into mine.
Good times.
Yeah, good times. And so we've been on a really long journey together, very close journey together. And just through discipleship, through small group leading, led your own groups and grew and developed them from there. Eventually took over the entire discipleship program for Sacramento. You were the director there for 2 years. And then you were my assistant for many years as the West Coast Youth Director. And then from there, now we've moved out here, and you're the vice president of Multiply and part of our board of directors. And so we've done a ton of ministry together. And it's been a good journey. Yeah, we've lived together for the last 4 years. That's been a really good time. One more week, and now you're moving out into
A lot of good food together.
Yeah, made a lot of good food together. So it's been a really good journey. And Mark, we just met. So
Hey guys.
Unfortunately.
Mark, we weren't planning on having him on the podcast, but he found his way into the house.
Mark the Shark.
Mark the Shark. So we've had a really good journey together as well. And whether it was through one-on-one meetings or, just walking together through this journey, or, maybe more indirectly a lot of times through youth ministry and maybe via proxy, because Adi's discipled you for many, many years. And that's probably what I would say is what's led up to most of the problems in your life. No.
All of my failures sounds true. All of my failures is because of Adi.
And all rises and falls. Yeah.
Though kidding aside, but a good godly man, and just excited for the journey that we've been on, and you've served in running multiple times our registration for really big events and stuff that we've done, and serving the youth board together with us, and just done a lot of different projects. So the reason why I wanted to showcase all of that is because we've all had a lot of relationship together, but a lot of ministry relationship together. We've had a lot of introspective relationship together. We've walked through some really difficult times and problem solved together. And it's one thing to have a relationship with people where you only have a relationship during the good times. Those are shallow relationships. We've had relationships with one another for many years through really difficult seasons, through problem solving, through having to make difficult calls, through trusting one another. And in this journey, it's really welded and bonded us together and really built a deeper relationship. And so I know, that we all know each other's character. We all trust each other's competency. And so it's built credibility between all of us. So at the end of the day, I know that if there's anything that I need, I can reach out to one of you guys. And, depending on the situation, you'll drop what you're doing and be like, yeah, no question about it. And I know that you guys are the same with me and with one another. We have the kind of brotherhood between us that if one of us is struggling with something and we're struggling in silence, if the rest of us find out about it later, we'll be offended. We'll be like, whoa, why didn't you tell me? Why don't you reach out? What do you mean you were struggling with this? Dude, I'm going to drop what I'm doing right now and let's figure this out. Like, you're not going to go through it by yourself. That's ridiculous. Like, it's so absurd for one of us to suffer and the rest of us to not know about it.
A little bit offensive.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, it's like, dude, I thought we were closer than that. I thought we've been through more than that, And so I think that it's a really healthy thing. And I also want to say, I know that it's something that every man desires, to have brotherhood with other men that you can rely on. I mean, dude, you watch all of these Instagram videos, right, where people are like, after you hit 30, after you hit 40, you have no more friends. Like, you just don't hang out with anybody anymore. Or, you see, I saw a post where somebody said, nobody talks about the miracle that Jesus did, which was one of the miracles that Jesus did, which was having 12 close friends into your 30s, And I thought, that's not my life. That's not our life. Like, we have fellowship and community and brotherhood. And yeah, no, that's not us at all. And so I don't think that we're supposed to live in isolation. I think that this is the goal of Christianity. And I think that one of the goals. And I think that one of the goals is also for us to develop this kind of community, because this is the church. It's not Multiply. It's not, Elim or Maranatha or Bethel or whatever, the name of the church is. That's the institution.
Yep.
The church is the people.
Right.
And this brotherhood that we have here oftentimes is how I clearly identify the church. And I think we all do. This is a brotherhood and a fellowship and people that hold you accountable and that care about one another. And so anyways, I'm going to just say one more thing. And then after that, I just want to kind of, ask a question. And then from here, we're going to unpack a bunch of stuff. For all of our listeners, all of our questions are coming in cold, except the first one. The first question, I told them a little bit about it about 10 minutes ago. And then every other question is coming in cold, because my goal is I don't want anything rehearsed. I don't want us to sit here and try to generate something or prepare really clever answers or God knows what. Not that I think that you guys would, but I just wanted to eliminate that temptation. I would rather us to just talk from our heart, be sincere. And I think that we have plenty to share. I think we have a deep well to draw out of. And the last thing that I just wanted to say is, traveling all over this country, and I'm just saying this to our listeners, traveling all over this country for 20 years now and meeting men and meeting people all over the country, it makes me very, very much appreciate and value everything that it is that God has done in your guys' individual lives. And I can't express to you just how proud I am of you guys in your journeys. I consider you guys, spiritual sons, spiritual little brothers, men in every sense of the word and in your own rights, and that you're all committed men to the Lord, that you guys are committed to this community, to one another, that you're committed to your spouses, for those of you that are married, committed to your children, that you've made, that you've become great men, great fathers, great husbands, And I think that God has a lot that he's invested in you guys. And I can't tell you just how overjoyed I am that I get to be a part of this brotherhood with you guys. And so it's just been a really good journey. And I just want to put that out there because I think it needs to be said. And so what I wanted to ask you guys now from your perspective is I wanted to ask, in your opinion, in your experiences, in your journey, not that everything's perfect, not that we have all the answers, but what makes a man a man? Like what are characteristics that you've seen in other men that you would think to yourself, man, that's a characteristic that defines being a godly man, being a Christian man? What are some things that have stood out to you guys? What are some aspirations that you have as men to be like, well, this is what I think a man should be? I know, kind of a deep question. But yeah, go ahead.
The first thing that comes up to my mind is resilience. I mean, you've been through a lot and you're still picking up and moving forward. That's one of the things that I try to aspire to.
Yeah. Why is resilience important for us as men specifically?
Because giving up is not an option. Like, I'm married. I'm going to have a kid.
Right. Soon, couple months.
Starting a new business.
In a new state.
In a new state. Failure is not an option. Like, there's other people, like, relying on me. If I fail, that means that my whole family's going down with it. And I don't care if I have to work overtime, work night shift, whatever, start a second job. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to put food on the table. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm stressing out, if I lose all my hair, if something goes wrong with my body. No, I'm preparing for them and I'm going to take care of them.
Yeah.
And going through the hardship doesn't matter. I think that's one of the biggest things, being able to be resilient through the hardship, through the storm, and moving past that.
Yeah.
And keep doing what you have to do.
Resilience is really a mindset. And it's a mindset that you develop by going through hard things and keep on going. Yeah. No, and I think that that's absolutely a masculine trait, is resilience.
You and I have talked about it a bunch of times.
For years.
Yeah. I would always come to you and complain about stuff. And one of the things that you would constantly respond, and? And I'll just be like, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter, right? And,
Dan? All right, cool. You done with that? All right. You ready to get back to work?
You done crying, little baby? Okay.
And it's funny because like we say it, tongue in cheek, but the point of that statement is, yes, it sucks. You have assessed it correctly. And what are you going to do? You're going to give up? You have people relying on you. You see, this is one of the things that I think that often single women don't understand. And sometimes, regrettably, even married women don't understand. Your children, if they fail, if they need help, if they've reached their limit, Jay, you have 2 daughters.
Oh, yeah.
If they've reached their capacity, they go to mom and dad. They can break down, they can blow a gasket, they can go sideways, and they have a safety net called mom and dad. If your wife reaches her limits, she has a safety net. She goes to you as your husband, as her husband. If you, as a man, have failure, you don't go to your wife and you don't go to your kids. The buck stops with you in your house because you're the head of your household. And so at the end of the day, as men, who do we have? We have each other and we have the Lord. But that's it. Everybody else has a safety net inside of the house. But as men, we don't have a safety net in the home. We are the safety net. And that's how it feels. And that's why resilience matters, because if my wife is pursuing and doing and working and she has some sort of a shortcoming, or decides to give up, you're still going to have food on the table and covering. The basic things will still be there. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not like if my wife gives up that, it'll be fine because I'll carry everything. No, the house won't be a home anymore. It won't have life in it. It'll still be missing critical components. But one of the characteristics that make us masculine in men is resilience. That my wife, if she's having a great day, if she's having a terrible day, if she has high highs and low lows, I am a stable, steady rock in my home. Yeah.
My wife constantly asks me, like, hey, how are you doing? And I don't know if it's subconscious, but I say to her, I'm fine. And she's like, but are you? And I told her, I'm like, sweetie, things are happening, like we're stressed out or whatever. And I tell her that I'm fine. I'm literally fine. Like if my arm's broken and I'm having trouble doing certain things and I'm struggling, I'm still saying I'm fine because there's a goal that I need to achieve. And I don't care of like what situation I'm in. I'm fine. I'm still moving forward.
It's funny. Ruth does that with me too. I just realized that. But she'll ask me, are you worried about this? I'm like, no. What's the worst that can happen? Like, it's not that bad. You know, we just keep moving forward. She'll have the high highs, she'll have the low lows, but I have to, not even that I have to, I feel like we're kind of more wired that way to just be like the more middle of the road. Like, you know, we'll still get excited about stuff, we'll still get worried about stuff, but more in the center. You know?
Yeah.
My automatic response in my head is like, it doesn't matter.
That's exactly right.
It's just like, doesn't matter. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like whenever our wives or whenever, you know, other people will ask us like, are you fine? We measure the answer of fine differently than women do.
Yes.
Whereas like my wife will ask, you know, am I fine? In her head, if I ask her, hey, are you fine? I feel like her answer is more of a, there's good and are you not good?
Yeah.
Whereas my answer for fine is not, am I not good? My answer is, can I still accomplish the goal? With a broken leg or a broken arm, it doesn't matter. Can I still accomplish it? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm on track.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might be on fire. It might be stressing out. My blood pressure might be way too high, but no, I'm still going to be able to figure out the thing and accomplish the task. I'm still going to be able to check that box.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm fine.
Am I dead? No, I'm good.
They also ask it as a thermometer sometimes though.
Yes.
In order to gauge like, hey, how is our situation doing? You see it from a different perspective than I do. Are we okay? And you have to provide that security. Like,
Yes.
no, we're okay. We're fine. We'll be okay.
No, that's really well said. I read about this years ago where wives will often measure their own identity in the way that their husbands see them.
Yes.
And they'll also measure the temperature of safety and of success and where they're at in life and the success of the home, depending on what you put out there as the husband. And so if you're sitting there and you're going, everything's chaos, well, you're supposed to be a lot of basis for security. Because think about it from any perspective. If you have a leader that's panicking, you're probably going to panic. You know what I mean?
Instinctually.
Yeah, right. In anything. I mean, imagine at your company, if your boss is panicking, everything's going sideways, you're like, well, here we go, you know? But if your boss, even in your company, but even at home, you know, if your leader's like, no, like we're okay. Things are on fire. Some things could get better. We're fine. Then that gives you a lot of security. And women are hardwired for security, whereas men are hardwired for success. And so I think that matters. No, that's really, really well put.
I feel like a trait that complements that is you got to have a spine, you know? Like I'm looking at all these guys, like everybody's here, and it's like we'll call out right for what is right and we'll call out what's bad, you know? Like we're not afraid to like offend or have those difficult conversations.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if I'm going through something, John's gonna be like, hey man, that's wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. You know, vice versa, you know? Like, I feel like as a man, we have to have that trait in us. We can't just be passive and submissive. Oh, everything's fine. Everything's okay. Oh, like, Eddie, like, it's okay, you know? Bro, like, we need to be like, hey, no, that's wrong. We need to do this.
Right.
You know?
No, and I it's actually the very next question. No, that's really well put. Before we get into that, because I love the question, because literally it's the next one. I did just want to touch on one more thing about characteristics of masculinity, because that is one of them, our willingness to care for one another and be brutally honest, right? But we'll unpack that in just a second. When do you become a man? And I think this is a question that young men struggle with all of their lives. And they think, well, you know, maybe when I sleep with, you know, my first person, when I become married, when I have my first kid, when I get the job, when I get the boss, when I get the golden-haired girl, when I, whatever, you know, thing, you know, when I turn 18, when do you know that you're a man? Because I think one of the things that people struggle with is they'll be in their 20s and they're like, I feel like, okay, like technically I'm a full-grown man, but I don't feel like a man. I still feel like a kid. You know, like you look at your dad in his 20s and you're like, that guy was a man. I'm not that, you know? And I think one of the key defining moments when you realize that you're a man is when you take responsibility for other people.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I'm responsible for a wife. I'm responsible for children. I'm responsible for people that I have begun mentoring and discipling. I am responsible because you don't just have to be married and have kids to be a man.
No.
You know what I mean? You can mentor, you can disciple, you can take people underneath you in community. You can be responsible for your parents. You can be responsible for your brothers and your sisters. You can have a responsibility for people in your community. And automatically you're like, I can't say that joke. I can't do that thing. I can't act this way. I can't. Why? Because I'm responsible to other people to be an influence and to lead.
Mm.
And I think
Right.
that's
If
one
you
of the key components.
if you look at it biblically, every time in the Bible, Abraham, when did he leave the land of Canaan? He was well into adulthood,
Right?
well past adulthood, really. He became a man when he had a calling and he stepped into it and moved into that calling,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
David, when he stepped out, faced Goliath. I mean,
And David wasn't
No.
married.
right.
He didn't have
It's not an age thing.
No, it's where you accept responsibility.
Right.
Mm.
Right. Because we know, all of us know guys that have jobs, they go to work, they do all the things
Right.
that a man should do, but it's not embodied into them. It's when there's the act on the calling.
When you live for, beyond yourself.
Right.
Because we all know men that are grown
Children.
children. Yeah.
The Peter Pan syndrome.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it, where they just live for themselves and even married with kids, but they're children.
Yeah.
And I know because my wife and I have counseled many women and men in those types of situations where the women are so frustrated because they're like, what do I do with him? He's like a giant child at home, and the man wants to, throw a fuss and throw a temper tantrum, like a child. Yeah. No, it's completely nail on the head there, Jonathan.
when you see a married man who has a wife and kids and he's ending up like not abandoning but forgetting about his family and doing whatever he wants to do, just
Abandoning his responsibilities.
you look at that man and you say, that's not a man.
Right.
And all he's doing is maybe going out and doing whatever he wants to do, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, Oh, it's not like I'm going out and it's like, no, dude, you have a family you gotta take care of. How are you leaving your family and doing whatever you want to do?
That's shameful.
Mhm.
It's dishonorable in what I feel is the standard of the way that God created us and is a biblical standard as well. No, whenever you see men, you ever see like on TV and there'll be men that are like, I was married, I had kids, and I just have to leave because, so they'll leave their family, and they're like, well, it's my life. Like, what about me? What about my dreams? What about and it's like, wow, how self-centered are you?
Mhm.
Like, it's so disgusting.
Yeah.
Like you're a man who has abandoned your responsibilities to these other people that you've made commitments and promises to be able to pursue your own self-centeredness.
Right. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of Genesis.
Yep.
What was Adam called to do?
Right.
Go out and conquer, provide, build. None of it was for himself. It was all centered towards Eve and
Yeah.
building civilization, really. But none of it was go out, find your hobbies, enjoy your life,
Right.
become successful so you can retire early and
Yeah.
do nothing and sit on your hands. It was go out and build. Don't build for yourself, you build for others.
It's funny because I have this conversation with Pete all the time about how what gives me the greatest sense of joy as a husband and as a father, what gives me the greatest sense of joy isn't accomplishing anything. It isn't going out and building something or doing or establishing. What gives me the greatest sense of satisfaction is really, it's the same thing, but it's in two areas, which it's this. It's watching my wife and my children. And in the second area, the people that God has called me to lead and invest in, the brotherhood and the community, watching everybody thrive and do well and know that the parts that are my responsibility towards everybody else, whether it's, a brotherhood, where we're investing in one another, or my wife and my children that I am over as the head of the household, watching everybody thrive and knowing that I was faithful in my responsibilities.
Mhm.
Like with my wife and my kids, seeing my wife feel secure, seeing my kids be happy, seeing everybody be healthy, in the world that the Lord has called me to lead well.
Mm.
You know, seeing in ministry that the ministry is thriving and doing well, in the ministry that God has called me to be faithful and responsible to. Seeing, my brothers, knowing full well that I'm fulfilling my responsibility towards my brothers in my community. That if there's something to call out, I call out, that I'm praying for them, that I'm standing in the gap, that I'm being a faithful friend, that I'm thinking about them and not just thinking about myself, that I'm introspective about myself and about other people as well. Like that just gives me the greatest sense of satisfaction.
Yeah.
Like I feel so content and at peace. I don't need anything else.
Yeah. I think it's also important to clarify.
Yeah.
Whenever we say that it's like a father is leaving his family to do whatever he wants, it's not like, hey, I'm just gonna go and hang out with the guys every now and then. It's like,
Right. We need guy time.
yeah, there's that's important too. But it's like your family's in shambles, you can't pay the bills, and you're going out and
On your
partnering.
6th fishing trip this month.
yeah,
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know why that happens? It happens because I think, this is just my opinion, but I think that, it happens for a multitude of reasons, but some of the ones that I see often is because a lot of young men have a fundamental misunderstanding about what the purpose of life is,
Mhm.
especially what their role is as men,
yeah,
right? And two, they don't have people in their life that can
Yes.
speak into their life,
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
right? That can be like,
100%.
brother, what are you doing?
100%.
Right.
This is terrible, And look, as men, we're hardwired for success. We won't pursue something that we think we're going to fail at.
Mhm.
Nobody tries to ask out a girl who's going to tell you no. You know what I mean? If she's not interested, you're not going to ask the girl out, I'm not going to sit out there and try to take on a task that is beyond my capacity. I don't want to fail. I don't want to start a business that, I really have no business being in, or I don't have a passion or a burden for. It's going to fail.
Right.
Right? Okay. In the same capacity, I think that a lot of guys are like, dude, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Yes.
My wife's upset and I don't know what to do. I don't know why she's mad. I keep on trying and I fail. Look, women will often, typically the feminine part of our species will often get upset when something happens. Okay. As men, we get upset not when something happens. We get upset when we can't succeed.
Yeah.
So this is again success and security. So women will oftentimes get very frustrated when something happens because it takes away their security. But as men, if the security is gone, great. There's no problem. It's a task to do. We get mad when we can't solve the problem, right? And an illustration that I heard about is if you spill grape juice on the carpet, right? Like let's say your kid knocks over a whole glass of grape juice on the carpet or on the sofa. Your wife will probably get more upset than you will, right? She'll blow a gasket and be like, what happened? Is that right? And you'll be like, hey, look, we'll clean it. It's fine. Get some stuff. Like, calm down. It's fine. Why are you yelling? Like, I'm just thinking of every YouTube video whenever like somebody gets hit by a car, there's always some lady screaming and you're like, why? Just stop it. It'll be fine.
That's why they always said,
helps.
get the women and children off the boat first.
Okay, so we can sit and solve the problem. So very task oriented. So, right. Okay. So you spill the grape juice, right? My wife will get more upset than I will. And then she'll get over it. Now, if I'm working on that grape juice to take it out for 2 hours, she's over it. I'm getting angrier and angrier and angrier because it's not coming out. I
tried 3
damaged the
different
fabric.
things.
Yeah, right? How many more YouTube videos do I got to look up? Why would the instructions say, do this step 3, and then you do it, and it says, but before that in step 4, and now you want to murder somebody? I can see the hate in Jay's eyes right now.
Men don't read instructions. What are you talking about?
That's true.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So in that same way, it's like as men, maybe the fishing 6 times in 1 month is a coping mechanism because I don't know how to succeed. I'm drowning and I don't have anybody to talk to. Right? You ever see those reels? Like they come up as a compilation where like a girl will ask, men, who do you go to? Whenever you're having a hard time, and it's just a response in video, one after another of men going, nobody cares. Men feel very isolated, like they don't have anybody to go to. And oftentimes they don't. And that's why a brotherhood is so important, where we can sit here and have a conversation with one another and be honest. So let's kind of switch gears into that question, Mark, that you brought up, which is I think is a key component. I think perfectly stated is the ability and the willingness to offend. The way that I wrote down the question is, who are you willing to offend for your beliefs? You know, there's people on the outside that we're willing to offend, but are we ever willing to offend one another?
I feel like if you don't, I feel like
Oh yes.
I feel like if you don't really care about the person.
Yes.
You don't love them.
Right. Yeah.
Like, because you love me, because you guys love me, like, you're willing to be like, hey, that's wrong. Stop.
You're being dumb. Knock it off.
Right. You know?
No.
And it's like, you're not saying it to hurt the person. You know, you're not saying it to be rude, to be whatever, just to prove you're right and that guy's wrong. It's like, no, like, I genuinely want to see you succeed. I want to see you walk into what God has planned for you as a man. And sometimes that means calling out the things that you're not doing well.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Right. It reminds me of a couple different things. One, a quote, I think it was Mark Driscoll that said that the primary job of a man is the ability to say no. Right. To say no to wickedness, to say no to the world. And it reminds me of G.K. Chesterton, who said that tolerance is the virtue of the world.
Right. Tolerance is the virtue of the world.
Right. The Lord, but the Lord rebukes the one he loves.
Right.
Right. He's not intolerant of wickedness and sin in his children.
Right.
So why are we? And I mean, we all have done life together 10, 15 plus years. Y'all have called me dumb many a time. You know?
We still do.
You say worse things, but yes.
You should hear what we say behind your back.
It's probably actually nicer than what you say to my face.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. Another trait of
we
being
say
a
it
big
and then-
man.
And then we say, but I'd never tell him to his face.
No, of course not.
God forbid.
We would never waste the good insults behind your back. We need to see your reaction.
Oh, of course. But we all can see someone doing something and say, no, you're being dumb, slap you upside the head, let's fix it and move on. Otherwise, I
Right.
don't love you.
So let me ask this question then, because I mean, I think this is exactly the key component of brotherhood, right? What gives someone the right to speak into your life, to provide correction into your life for you personally?
Trust.
Yeah.
Trust.
Nice.
What? Expand on that.
Well, I mean, the example that comes to my mind is the relationship that Adi and I have. He loves me a lot, and he constantly points out things to me. But before we went deeper and deeper in our relationship of being like transparent with each other, we built a relationship. We built a relationship like, hey, let's go hang out. Let me help you with this. Let me help you with that. And as I began to see his, I don't want to say motive, but I guess his reasoning of being my friend, his genuine, like, hey, I care for you and I love you and I want to spend time with you just because of who you are. I trusted him more to say things like, hey man, like the way that you're talking and like how you swear a lot. Like, do you notice that? If I didn't have that relationship with him, like, dude, what are you talking about? You do the same, and I would be very like defensive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, I don't. What are you talking about? But understanding the relationship that we have and the trust that we built with each other, when he tells me hard things, like, hey, dude, do you realize what you did there? I'd be like, oh, wait, actually, it's not even a thing that I'm like, why is he telling me that? It's already built into where it's like, okay, he's caring for me and he wants to point this out so I can be better. I don't have to be like, why are you saying that?
Right.
You know, it's different. You can have 3 people in a room, you know, like let's say it's me and you in a room and another guy, a brand new guy. And I can say something that you might take offense to that might be a little bit insulting where I'm noticing something, you know, or vice versa. And you'll say that, and then that other brand new guy will say the same exact thing. With the brand new guy, it's like, who are you? You don't know me. Like,
Right.
why would you say something like that to me? That's rude.
Yeah.
But with John and me, you know, like the stuff that we say to one another, it's not rude. It's because I love you and it's because you love me. And we communicate to each other because, okay, well, I want the best for you and you want the best for me. So we'll say stuff that's hard, that's difficult. But after that, you know, you go home or you leave and you ponder on that. You think about that. What did you say? Why did you say that? And, you talk to God about it. And the vast majority of the time, you come back with the realization that, no, you're right. I need to understand that that is the truth, and I need to correct something in my life. And it's not because you're jealous of me, and it's not because you're trying to be a jerk to me, or you're trying to put me down, or it's not out of your insecurities, but it's because you love me and you want what's best for me. So
Right. And it's not even that third person that's new to the group or doesn't know you is wrong. They could be 100% right.
Right.
But there's no trust of character.
yeah,
Relationship there.
Yeah.
Right. We've done life for 15 plus years together.
Mhm.
I know your character.
Yeah.
It's built over time.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be 15 years to build it.
No.
Obviously, the longer that time goes by, the more that you're like, dude, I have no doubt about your guys' intentions. I know these guys.
Right.
But within a couple of months, you're definitely in a place where you go, okay, I'm willing to test the waters on this.
Yeah.
And the way that the way that I said something to each one of you guys in the beginning of our relationship is not the way we talk to each other today.
No, not at all.
Like in the beginning of our relationship, it was like, hey man, I've been praying about this for a while. And let me, and then, I would reiterate what the purpose is. Like, look, man, like I want you to succeed and I want to see this in your life. And I know that these are your goals. And I think that there might be something that might be hindering you. So you have to do all of this, pre-layout to explain the reason why you're having this conversation. And if you have that trust, you say it very gently and then you walk away and then you let the person chew it over. But as time progresses, that's how credibility and trust, like you were saying, John, gets built. But the thing with trust is trust what? Trust the reasoning behind.
Yeah.
Right? Because like the example you gave, Adi, you're like, this third person might say something. And even though, like you were saying, Jonathan, they're right. Your question is, well, why would you say that? Well, the why is what you want to know. What's the reason behind it? This guy's pointing it out, and that's a fair question. Why is this guy saying it? Is it because he's insecure? Is it because he's attacking me? Is it because he's jealous? Is it because he just wants to put me down because it's me and him and a girl in the conversation, and he's into the girl, and he thinks that the girl might not be into him, and now he's jealous of me? All of these different things come up, right? Is it his own insecurity from growing up, and he sees me as a threat in the room, etc.? And so, when you establish relationship and reasoning, then that opens you up to be able to have a conversation. Today, the conversation is like, hey man, you're kind of retarded about the way that you approach this, like I'll just say something like that, where he'll say it, to each other or whatever. And it's like, oh dude, you're right. And there's this great quote that I learned, this great idea, which is, I learned it from Sam Chand, this great leadership guy, Christian guy. And he goes, when trust is high, then speed is high and cost is low. When trust is low, then speed is low and cost is high.
Right. And it goes the other way too. Like if you call me retarded and say, hey, knock it off, I don't have to sit there and ponder about it.
Right.
I go in my mind, and it all happens very quickly. Eddie's been mentoring me and walking with me for a while. He's not usually wrong. He's kind of always right when he points things out like this. Okay, yeah, I need to change this.
Yeah.
And it all happens very quickly because I trust you.
Right. Or many times you'll be like, hey, I'm like Adi, you'll say to me, hey, I'm not challenging you on this. I just don't understand. Could you help me unpack it? Yeah. Of course.
Right.
So I kind of, and we've had times where we've misread situations, where it's like, hey, do you think you were maybe a little bit, too much there? Well, tell me how. Well, maybe you were too aggressive, or maybe you were too angry, or maybe you were too loud, or maybe you were too whatever. And the response might come back, oh, no, I said that because of these reasons. Oh, I totally misread the situation. No worries. But we know that we have each other's back, that we're here to help one another grow, and we've built this relationship. And so we're willing to risk the offense because we have the relationship. Now, how do you, on the flip side, how do you receive something that might be harder to receive? Like, do you have to be proactive on your end? Whenever somebody might point out something to you to correct, do you have to be proactive on your end to go, okay, that hurts, because it's not easy, to shine a light into a dark corner that maybe you don't want to deal with. Sometimes it might be like childhood trauma. Sometimes it might be like, something that you've had for a long time that you're ashamed of, so that you're insecure about, right? I mean, those are the things, to point out things that you want to fix anyways, that's not very valuable. You already know
right.
that, right? But to sit here and to have these conversations about things that we should be working on, but we're ashamed of, or we're scared of, or we don't want anybody to see, we want to hide, right? What do you have to do on your end? What do I have to do on my end to be able to actually accept those things? Like, what are proactive decisions?
And that's what I meant with, on the flip side, the cost for me, if any of you guys point something out, is very low now. But if it wasn't, do I want to change any of those things until I know you? Probably not. But you guys pointed out, yeah, no problem. Let's work on it. It's very quick.
Yeah.
Because that cost is low now.
Cost
because
is low,
the trust
speed
is
is
very
high.
high.
Because the trust is high.
Right.
Yeah.
There's so many conversations that you and I have had where we would talk about a certain thing. And at the end of our conversations, you would say, there's some other stuff that we need to talk about it, but that's for another time, because I wasn't ready for that conversation.
Yeah.
Because, and I think it was because my introspectiveness was not developed enough for me to actually assess, wait, is this something that I'm actually dealing with? Because if I can't take the time to think about if that's actually true or not, and I immediately just dismiss it and be like, no, I don't have a problem with that, I'll never take in consideration
Right.
what you're saying. I think that being able to have that introspectiveness is important to hearing out the criticism.
Right. Right. Where did it come from? Can I trust it? And then also, like you were saying, being introspective to assess yourself, to be like, I don't want to hear any of this. Okay, why don't I want to hear any of this? Is it because I shouldn't trust the person? No, they've established that. Is it because what they're saying I don't like because it exposes something in me? Dang it. And now you have to be in a place where you have to ask yourself, do I want to lie to myself, or do I want to be honest? And we value honesty at a supreme level in all of our own lives.
Yeah, you have to almost live under the assumption that you can't trust yourself.
Yes.
Like I have to trust you guys more than I trust me, because so I'm going to operate the way that I operate because that's how I see best for whatever reason.
The waters you swim in.
So it's the waters I swim in. It's, so everything seems normal to me, the way that I do this, it's normal because that's how I always do it. But I have to trust you guys that you guys see it from a different perspective, from a different angle. So whenever you guys bring something up to me, if it's difficult, almost obviously I'm gonna have some sort of a defense mechanism come up because, well, it seems weird to me because I just see it as normal. But I have to trust that you guys see it from a different perspective. So I have to trust you guys. And as I ponder on it, meditate on it, and kind of start talking it out with you guys, that's when I start to realize, okay, actually, no, I'm being selfish here. That's just something that I didn't notice. I got to trust Eddie. I got to trust John. I got to trust Mark, so I got to kind of have to see it from that perspective that I'm not always going to see it.
Right. Yeah. And then there's the other side, right? Which is, I might point out something in your life, and it might be not that I'm bad intention, but my view is also skewed by my own experiences. So I might be completely wrong.
Yeah.
And it's okay, it's okay to point something out in somebody else's life, but like as brothers, we don't come into each other's lives with arrogance.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to fix this thing. It's like, no, here's something that I see and I might be off.
Yeah.
Let's walk through it together, because the goal is to find, health and growth and commitment to Jesus and to one another. And so we'll walk through it. And as we walk through it, oftentimes we'll find, okay, the way that I started what I saw is not 100%. There's still something there. But sometimes you find out that it wasn't even the thing that I noticed. It was a completely different thing.
Right.
But it's that commitment to growth. It's that commitment to Jesus. It's that commitment to Christianity and commitment to one another, where we're like, hey, we're going to walk through this together and we're going to figure it out. And then we do.
And this is where like pride is so dangerous, because we've had so many conversations where it's like you're pointing something out, and because of my pride, I'm not listening to what you have to say. I'm defending myself.
Right.
And it's like, okay, we're having a conversation. Hey man, I see this in your life. And I'm like, I'm trying to fight you against something that you see in my life. And I'm like, no, dude, it's not like that. And it's like, what's the point of that? Like, I need you explained this to me this way. You're like, I need to not be across from you. I need to come like next to you, and I need to see this problem the way that you see it with your lens. I can't, the way that I see things, I have my pride, my ego, my background, the way that I grew up, you know, and like I have a certain lens, but you see something else through your lens. I need to come alongside you and be like, okay, let's look at this and let's attack it, you know? And the temptation there is to let your pride and your flesh kind of take over. And
it goes both ways, because it's like a lot of times, and I'll tell you, I'm like, I see this thing, but I'm like, I don't even know why. I don't know where it's, sometimes it's like a gut feeling, but I'm just sharing it with you.
Right.
And it's like, and if you come back and say, well, no, that's actually something else, something different, I can't be like, well, no, you need to, you know, because I'm the mentor, you're the mentor, or something like that, you know, where it's like, I know what's better. And if I turn out to be wrong, I have like this chip on my shoulder where, well, no, you can't see. No, it's like, I'm just sharing it with you and we're walking through this together, and I might be right, I might be wrong. I don't know. We're going to pray about it. We're going to talk about it, and we'll see. Like, and hopefully together we'll reach wisdom, you know?
Yeah. No, it's really well said. The goal, what I know isn't that I'm right.
Right.
What I know is that I care about you.
Yes.
And that we're committed to this relationship, and that we are in pursuit of honest growth.
Yeah.
Right.
And if there's pride from a mentee perspective, or even from a brother's perspective, right? From a mentor's perspective or a brother's perspective, if there's pride, I'm going to go and I'm not going to be gentle at all. I'm just going to be like, hey, you need to fix this. And I'm going to come from anger. I'm going to come from, you know, telling you what you need to do. And I might be wrong.
Yes.
If there's pride on the mentee or the brother receiving, right? Because sometimes, you know, you're across, sometimes, you know, we're pouring into one another, sometimes we're above. If there's pride on, you know, the receiving person's end, you may not receive it. So pride on either end could screw up this entire thing. And the key component, the fertile ground, is humility. It's humility, and it's love, and it's a submission to the Holy Spirit. And it's like, man, when we walk that way, if I approach you in pride, I just go, hey, man, you got to knock it off. You keep on doing this, and you know what? I'm getting sick and tired of it. That's a really arrogant response as a leader. You know what I mean? That's not the right approach. Try that with your wife. Try that with your kids. Try that with, you know what I mean? That's not going to go very well.
Yeah.
You know, they might obey,
Yep.
but they're obeying because they have to positionally, or just enough so that way you stop being angry. They're not actually growing.
Yeah.
You're being a bad leader. That's what you're doing.
And then they'll listen to you in the moment, but over time they'll build space, which they should, if you're
Right.
being that kind of a leader, you know?
And the very thing that helps the deep brotherhood exist is the closeness. Because if I'm harsh with you, you're not going to be vulnerable with me. And if you're not vulnerable with me, then we're not close. And if we're not close, I can't speak into your life. You can't speak into mine. That's the divide and conquer. We might be in the same space, but we'll be by ourselves. And so at the end of the day, that's where that humility and that care comes in. So then the approach isn't, hey, man, you need to knock it off. The approach is, hey, man, I've been praying about this. And actually, you have been praying about it. And I'm concerned because I care about you. And here's kind of something that I've been noticing. Now, nowadays, we know that we care about one another. We don't have to say those statements. But for somebody who's listening to this, who's going, man, I have other brothers in my life, you know, and I see things in their lives that I want to bring up. How do I bring it up? The first thing you have to do is not discuss with them what you want to discuss. You have to discuss the why.
Nice.
Right? You have to unpack, hey, I'm on your side. I remember I was having a conversation with a guy. He was dropping off a trailer at my dad's house. Guy from a different church in Sacramento. And his gravel driveway, he pulled in, dropped off the trailer, and he was on fire for the Lord. We grew up being hood rats together. You know, I mean, just bad kids, you know, and then I got saved, and then he continued to live in the world for a long time, but then he got saved, and he was very zealous for the Lord, because whom the Lord forgives much, loves much. So he loved the Lord. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm trying to get baptized with the Holy Spirit. I'm trying to, you know, really just pursue God and have this like breakthrough experience. And I go, great. How's your journey been? Now, I had been, you know, a minister for some time at that point. And I asked him, I was like, you know, what's your journey been? Like, explain to me, you're trying to pursue this experience. And he goes, well, why don't you tell me your opinion, and then I'll tell you my opinion. And I sat there and we were talking, standing on this gravel driveway. And I go, no. I go, the premise of your question is already broken. I go, here's the subject. And I took something and I placed it between us on the floor. And I go, and you're on one side and you've automatically assumed that I'm on the other, and we're going to debate this subject. And I go, this is the wrong approach. I go, the right approach is I took the thing and I stood next to him shoulder to shoulder, and I go, why don't you and I, because we care about one another and we both love the Lord, look at this thing, and you share your ideas, I'll share mine, and we both look at it together. And that's the right approach, is what you were explaining earlier, is this idea of, dude, I'm with you. So if there's somebody that's listening to this, part of the podcast, and they're like, dude, I have people in my life that I want to talk to about issues. Don't focus on what you want to talk about. First, clarify the why. And often what I'll do with people whenever they're apprehensive, like sometimes, Mark, I'll talk to you or Adi or John or Jonathan or Jake, we'll have conversations. And in the early years, I remember times where I've said something to you and you've wanted to pull back, and I would reach across and be like, hey man, I'm on your side. I'm with you. Like, I'm not telling you this because I want to put you down. I'm telling you this because here's what I want for your life. And I would explain where I'd like to see you in 5 years, in 1 year, in 10 years, whatever, because I want you to be a good, godly man, because I want you to do well in life. So I'm always revealing the why. And that's what we do with one another as brothers. Hey, I'm not against you. I'm for you. Why do we say that? Because it's like, hey, you're pulling back. I have to reveal to you, remind you the why.
Right.
And if you can understand to unpack for a friend of yours, maybe if you're listening to our podcast today, the why, that's what'll help keep them on the X. So they don't run away, defend, set up walls, and create distance. It'll keep them in the space because they go, well, I want those things for my life too. Okay, let's talk about it. And then you're actually able to have that conversation.
It's difficult sometimes too, because even if you explain the why and they're still insecure about their image, they still won't accept it.
Oh, 100%. And
then
that does happen.
Most men don't want to be told what to do or why.
No,
Right. It's in our nature. And so until there's a brotherhood,
yeah,
good luck ever talking into them.
It's funny because it's like we want somebody to pour out into us.
Mhm.
We all want mentoring and discipleship and all of that, right? But we don't want the hardship. We just want the results.
Yes.
And that's the human condition. And it's stupid. It's really just dumb. And, kind of goes back to, that resilience that you were talking about, John, where it's like, man, we really desperately need relationship and rebuking sometimes and challenges in the areas that are hardest for us to hear, because that's where we actually need to face it. And it's like, if I tell you, John, to work on something that you have to work on, let's say I point something out that you're already completely aware of and you're working on it, that's very easy for you to hear. It's also worth nothing because you're already doing it. Where it's worth something is where it's going to make big change. Where it's going to make big change is probably where you don't want to look. And what needs to happen is we have to establish a bridge, a relationship between us of love and of trust and of humility that is strong enough to bear the weight of the conversations that we need to have. And that's what it means to be a Christian who is responsible for your brothers and sisters around you. Not this shallow, platituded, I'm sorry, we attend the same place and we say hi and bye and we put on the same, mask and we act like, everything's totally fine, but everybody's, secretly struggling with their own problems on the inside, but we never get into any of it because everybody wants to just pray silently so nobody knows, and it's like, no, dude, I want to grow.
Yeah.
I don't want to look good. I want to grow.
Yeah.
It's funny because the things that we're talking about, love, humility, submission under the Holy Spirit, like this brotherly bondage, that it sounds very counter to what being a man is. Putting on a tough face and be like, nah, it's like, that's okay. All you're doing is you're looking tough, but you're not answering the deep, hard problems in your heart to be able to actually have impact in the community and your family around you. Like, no, it's not just, oh, I'm just gonna isolate myself and be this tough man. It's like, no, let's open up and talk about some really hard, difficult issues that we need to shine a light on.
Yeah.
Which I mean, you do a great job at doing that. You ask the hard, difficult questions that potentially could risk your relationship with that person.
Oh, and there's people that aren't in this room right now that I've had these conversations with and they didn't want to hear it. And there's people that aren't in this room right now that you've had these conversations with and didn't want to hear it.
There's people in this room that didn't want to.
Let's skip over that.
So really, that brings us to our next point. The cameras aren't even rolling. Mark,
You're being voted off the island.
You know what's funny though? Like, what helps like having those conversation is kind of like how Dr. Fred Garman says. He says awareness is curative.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you guys would, you want to have this difficult conversation with what I'm doing or about my plans or whatever. But you kind of know in that moment, I'm not ready to hear that conversation. So you would say something like, hey, you did this. Why do you think that is? And then I'm forced to be thinking like, okay, why did I do that? Oh, because is it this? Is it this part? Is this the problem? You know, it forces me to be aware of the problem myself versus you telling me, hey, this is the problem. You know, instead of
Yes.
you giving me the issue, I acknowledged, hey, this is what's wrong. Oh, shoot, you're right. I need to fix this, you know? Asking those questions like, hey, just like very simple. Like, it doesn't have to be this in-depth conversation. Hey, I noticed you did this. Why? You know, that forces that person to think, oh, shoot, why did I do that?
Right? No, it's being introspective and having good tools that are calibrated of assessment, you know? And I might have a really good tool that maybe you haven't developed in your life yet. And I'll lend it to you through a good question. Well, I'll go, hey, let's measure this in your life. You know, why did you do that? And, you know, we'll sit down at coffee, me, you, Adi, Jay, you know, John, Jonathan. We'll have a conversation and we're like, hey, Mark, why did you do this? And you'll go, well, because of this. And then what we'll do is we'll change around some of the variables. We'll change around some of the components. And we'll go, well, if it is for that reason, then wouldn't you have done that? And you're like, wait a second, the math isn't adding up again. And now we're measuring it with tools that you haven't developed well enough, but you're borrowing mine or Adi's or whoever's pointing this out to you. And you go, well, then why did I do that? And I go, I don't know. Let's keep on going. And I probably have the answer. But the goal isn't for me to tell you how to live. That's ridiculous.
And it's funny because you're doing three things at that point.
Yes.
First, you're helping them get to the solution. 2, you're helping them to be introspective. 3, you're also forcing them to grow in their relationship with the Lord.
Yes.
Because look, oftentimes you'll point something out and it's like, we won't come to that answer. You know, we've had this plenty of times where it's like, you'll point something out and like, I'm actually trying to be honest and, you know, like have this introspective thought and I'm voicing it out, but it's like, I can't come to an answer, but the Lord knows.
Right.
You know, and it's forcing so by doing that, you're not only helping them with that problem that you see, you're helping them to be introspective, but you're helping them grow in their walk with the Lord, because then it's like, okay, I don't know the answer. God, what's going on? What's going on in my heart? So it's like you're killing 3 birds with 1 stone at that point.
Right.
You know?
They're not lifting the weight for you.
Yes.
But they're gonna be a spotter to help you
Yes.
to progress so that you're stretching and using that muscle so it can grow.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. That's essentially it, is surrounding yourself with people that care about you enough and that are willing to have the conversations that need to happen. We've brought up multiple times now that we all have, in various degrees in each other's lives, sat there and thought to ourselves, I don't feel like you're ready to hear this yet. Right? What do you do in the process while you're waiting for the right moment? What are you supposed to be doing during that time? Like, let me give you an example. Let's say, you know, I want to have a conversation with you, John, about something, you know, but I don't feel like you're in a place to receive it. And I'm afraid if I say it, it's just going to blow up in my face, and it may. And I don't feel convicted by the Holy Spirit to like, you have to bring this up. And I don't feel like it's a critical issue where it's like, John's about to make the mistake of his life. Because then you risk everything and you go, I got to tell you, you know. But let's say we're in that place and I'm, you know, what am I supposed to be doing during that time?
Making fun of them until you soften them up a little bit.
100%.
That's the right answer.
Next question.
All right, we got that one. All right.
Humor is a powerful tool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of truth to it.
Honestly.
Yeah. But let's talk about that, because I think that's really important. But let's also talk about like, what are some other things that we can be doing during that time? Because do I just sit and wait? What if 10 years goes by? You know what I mean? Okay, humor, and you and I talk about this a lot, where we'll point out something sarcastically sometimes, not in a disparaging, hurtful way, but the importance of like, you can't change the mood in a group of people out by being like, hey man, you need to stop doing this in front of everybody. That's not cool. You can't call somebody out in front of everybody. You're going to shame them.
That is a for sure way to bring up their defense mechanism.
100%. And rightly so. So you have a private conversation, but how can you bring it up in a group of people where you kind of poke at it? That's humor.
Yeah.
You know?
Satire.
Yeah. Any ideas come to your guys' mind about an example?
It's difficult because
It's an example out of your own life, isn't it?
I was gonna say it's more of the receiving. I'm on the other side,
You?
but there's
There's that sarcasm.
We never make fun of
a young man, my young brother-in-law that I talk to. I go to work with him a lot, and there's a lot of stuff that he's like 15 years old.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff that he does that I'm just like, what are you doing, kid? And a lot of it is me kind of making humor at it. And I work with him, and we go to different job sites, and I lightly point at a flashlight in that corner.
Right.
Not a lot to where he gets super like insecure, defensive, like, dude, what are you doing?
You're not attacking them.
Exactly. But I slowly try to like bring it up somehow until the point where he asks me a question.
Yeah.
And that's happened where he comes up, he's like, hey man, I think I might have screwed up. And I'm like, what do you mean? And then he explains it, and then we have that conversation.
Right.
But me kind of just lightly pointing it at it, making some humor at it, bullying him a lot.
Right. You're also probing a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it comes to his attention, and he sees a pattern, and he is able to pick up on that pattern.
Yeah.
And he's grown a lot.
Nice.
You know, like I'll give you an example, especially guys on construction sites.
Mm.
There's a lot of poking, prodding, being sarcastic. Yeah. Like I'll give you an example. If a guy who's like newer on the site, you're like, hey, go grab something from the other side of the site. If he's walking, right, you'll just be like, oh, that's cool. I got all day. That's fine.
Yes.
I know. Like you make little quips like this. What are you saying? Hey, hurry up.
Yeah.
Put a little bit of hustle in your step, you know? Or, you're working on something, and then the guy next to you, stops working so he can talk to you about something. And you're like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, we can come back tomorrow. That's fine. We can have a mentoring session now, and that work while we talk is what you're saying,
Yeah.
You're trying to introduce a little bit of discomfort
Yes.
towards the thing that you're doing that, hey, everybody else doesn't like that you're doing that.
Right.
We got to introduce a little bit of discomfort there, make you feel like, maybe I shouldn't do that. And hopefully you'll correct before even the conversation even has to happen.
Before the conversation even has to happen. And then on the receiving end, because I had this with my brothers growing up, they would point something out, and on the receiving end, we'd all chuckle about it, but I would pick it up.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, I got to hustle a little bit. Why? Because if he's got to tell me 2 or 3 times, then it's going to come into a correction where it's like, hey, man, you're going slow and everybody's waiting on you. Now, you would do that one-on-one, but you don't want to get to that point because, one, you'd feel shamed, but 2, you would feel shamed because you should be ashamed.
Yeah.
Because you're still being lazy and everybody's waiting on you.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And you may not realize that. Shame is totally fine.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
It's
If
necessary.
it's justified, it's necessary
Yes.
for growth. Like, it's necessary for confession, right? The Bible talks about clearly where worldly sorrow will lead to destruction, but godly sorrow leads to repentance.
Yeah.
That shame where it's like, man, I'm ashamed that I did that. I need to fix that. And then it leads to repentance. That's good. And so, even in the joking, the humor, the poking fun at one another, somebody will say something, really dumb, and one of us will be like, yeah, that makes sense because we're all that way, and everybody just kind of chuckles. What sucks, now that you and I have talked about this extensively, where
was that for many reasons?
where no, like recently we had a conversation where it's like, dude, I keep on pointing this out to this other person, like through jokes, and they just think it's a joke.
Yeah.
They don't understand that I have an intention behind it. I'm not just saying something so we all laugh. I'm saying it so realize you're constantly late whenever we hang out. Like somebody shows up who's always late. One of us will be like, which actually is none of us here, which is nice. But one of us will be like, oh, wow, that's cool. Glad you decided to show up. I don't know, some silly whatever quip. We'll all kind of chuckle. That person we're hoping goes, oh, dude, these guys were all here on time.
Yeah.
I need to be more on time. Now, if you keep on doing it, eventually it's just like, hey, man, you don't respect people's time.
Yeah.
Because you think the rest of us, it's okay if we wait on you. That's not appropriate. Like, you can tell when somebody didn't get it when they're always late. One time they're on time and somebody's 30 seconds late, and then they try to make the same joke. It's like, no, you don't understand what's happening here. We're not making the joke just to make the joke. We're making the joke because it happens with you constantly.
Yeah. And on the receiving end, and I can speak to this. I have credentials. Yeah. On the receiving end, yeah, I'm well versed. On the receiving end of like, those quips or those jokes, there's ways where you can't respond with number one, being offended.
Yes.
Where it's like, well, I'm gonna get mad at you because you said that. You can't do that.
Oh, especially in a brotherhood like this.
Yeah.
We're gonna double down, triple down on that.
Yes. If you're
And then we will shame you into changing.
because obviously it's not working, so we have to increase the dial and
Right,
make it a little
right.
worse. The other thing is you can't return the joke as though Eddie has started a joke with me and now we're just joking around. That's not it either.
No, it's
Because
not.
No.
once again, you're not understanding that there's something wrong and we have to change something.
Yeah.
So now we got to dial it up again. And then the other thing is you can't pick on someone else for the thing that you're doing wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because you also make yourself low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
So the rest of everybody else is like, oh God, he's not getting it. He's not getting that he's always late.
Yeah.
But then the response is going to come back your way. Like, yeah, that makes sense because you're on time all the time. So it's going to get thrown right back at you. Or, it's going to be like, hey, tell you what, when you are late only 10 times as much as I am, then you can talk to me. It's like, you start looking at metrics and volume. And but the point is we're trying to do it not out of offense. We're trying to do it out of love, but that's been established in relationship. And the question is, are you picking up on it or not?
Yeah.
There was a time, I don't know if you remember, Adi, this was like maybe 10, 12 years ago. You're dropping me off at my house and we were in your Ep30. And we had a conversation because in my relationship with you at the time, I was really dumb. Even to a certain degree still.
Narrow it down a lot more.
A little less now. But I wasn't growing. I wasn't taking my relationship with the Lord seriously. I was just hanging out with friends because I wanted to hang out with friends. And it started with, poking, joking a little bit, stuff like that. And I wouldn't grow and I wouldn't change. And they got to a point where it's like I wasn't growing, I wasn't changing. You dropped me off in my house and you're like, hey man, I just need to tell you, like, honestly, like, I don't know if we can be friends anymore because you're not pursuing growth. Like, I need people in my life that are pursuing growth. And you're like, I was like, if you're not taking your relationship seriously with the Lord, first of all, and in our relationship, then what is this relationship with? I don't know if you remember that conversation we had. And after that conversation, because of the relationship that you and I had at the time, I didn't want to lose a friend. Like, okay, something is seriously wrong. And I could have been like, you know what? No, forget this guy. He was my friend. All right, I'm not going to be his friend. But it, based off of the relationship that we had and all the good times and the quality of the relationship, I was like, you know what? There is something wrong. And after that moment, I started taking growth a lot more seriously. But that could have gone one way or another.
Oh, yeah. Now, the funny thing is okay, so take that same exact scenario. Let's say Adi's really invested in growth and he's growing, and you're going to have different seasons of growth.
Yeah.
Everybody does. I get that. So we have to be patient with one another as well, because just because I'm in a season of growth and, you're not for the next couple of months, that's fine, and we're definitely, going to be patient with one another. But if it goes on for too long, no matter how you slice it, if one person's growing, this is a marriage relationship principle. If one person's growing and the other person isn't, you're growing apart. There's no way around it because the distance is getting greater and greater and greater.
And it's really good that you said that. It's not like there's different seasons.
Right.
It's not like, for a week you're overwhelmed and you're not growing. So I'm like, hey man, we can't be friends anymore. It's like, look, man, if this is the trajectory of life, like looks like we're going in two different directions, but
yeah. And so what does that look like? I'm working, I'm growing, God's been, changing things in my life, and several months have gone by, and you just might not be in a season of growth. That's fine.
Yeah.
If people have been bringing stuff up to you, if your brothers have been bringing up stuff to you, if the Lord's been bringing up stuff to you and you are just stubborn and refusing to grow. If you're like, I don't want to face this, I'm good where I'm at, I want to be comfortable, I want to plateau, I don't want to grow. What Adi was saying in that relationship is he's going, look, inevitably, unless this changes, we're going to wake up one day and realize that we're two different people.
Yeah.
There's no reason to continue in this.
Yeah.
Because you're not a brother who's with me in this commitment to growth. And I'm not a brother who can be with you in this commitment to growth because you don't want to grow. And that's fine. You can live your life however you want to live life. But we automatically, by like the laws of nature, we won't be close anymore because I can't be vulnerable to you.
Right.
You can't be vulnerable to me. Trust gets eroded. Relationship is growing apart. It's going to be the natural conclusion.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that that exists, that
It does.
you can't build a strong, deep relationship with people, but that's part of life. Like, I'm not going to have, like we said at the in the beginning of the podcast, like there's people here that there isn't people here that we know. It's like we're not
Just thinking about that.
we're not going to be friends with everybody in the whole planet. Like there's different people in different seasons, different people in life and values and stuff like that. That's like, I can't waste my time.
Well, we're men. We're task oriented. Not everyone's going to get into the kingdom. I'm going to focus my time on people that are helping me with that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Building that kingdom.
Eddie, it's like you said before, like healthy people create healthy relationships, even though that's applied to like dating and marriage and all that stuff, but it also applies to like our friendships.
Every
know?
relationship.
It's like if I surround myself with people that are unhealthy and who, like John, how you're saying, like who don't want to pursue growth, naturally, without me even doing anything, naturally I'm just gonna become an unhealthy person. But because I surround myself with healthy people, good godly men, the result of that is gonna be that I'm gonna become a good, healthy man.
Right, we're all
Does that
moving
make
in the
sense?
same direction.
Right? And it's like, okay, you get to choose what you want to do. If you want to just, and this is like kind of like the biggest temptation that a lot of men fall into is like they just check out. You know, like you'll point something out, and because either they're insecure or their pride is kicking in, they don't want to hear that message. You know, they'll just check out, and then naturally the relationships around them are going to fall. It's going to fail.
Yeah.
And they're not doing life how God designed them to do. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. It was exactly, God didn't design Adam to check out. And Adam was with Eve when Eve bit the apple.
Mm-hmm.
And he also ate of it, right? He was with her, but he
Right.
checked out of his role of being the husband and the leader of the family.
Right.
And that has been man's, like the masculine side of humanity, man's temptation since the beginning of time is for us to check out.
And we all struggle with that.
We do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why community is so important.
Yes.
Because it's like, dude, a lot of times I'm like, dude, I want to check out. Like, it's just a lot's going on. Like, a lot's on my mind. I'm stressed. I'm doing this. And it's like, because I have a good, solid community around me, like you guys, it's like, you guys would be like, hey, no. Stand up. We're going to go. We're going to push through this, you know?
Right. One of two things happens. One, you guys won't let me.
Yeah.
Two, because you guys are not checking out, I'm forced to keep going if I want to keep up.
Yeah.
Right. How many times have we ever done any physical labor together?
Mhm.
Right? I don't want to be the first guy who said, we're done. Ain't going to happen. My arms will fall off.
Why do you think we feed you M&Ms?
At the end of the day, that's it. It's part of our competitiveness.
Yes.
It's
Right.
part of our,
Right.
I love it.
yeah, it's built into us. But we have this close brotherhood that honestly, like, I don't expect women to understand it the same way that we wouldn't understand a sisterhood. I get that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. But what's funny to me is there are men and women who see the brotherhood and they go, dude, I want that. I wish I had that. You know what I mean? But they don't want to do the things or accept the things that are necessary to achieve that.
Well, it's hard.
Yeah, of course it's hard.
I think-
Anything of value
yeah.
costs.
You have to burn away at yourself to be able to have it.
Yeah.
I've built up, at this point, 32 years of my life. Do I want to cut off the things I've been doing for the last 10 years that are me
Yeah.
to have this? There's a cost.
It's high risk, high reward. The risk is you're going to see me for who I am. You're going to see how broken I am. And the reward is you're going to have a good, solid community if you're vulnerable.
Well, it appears, I would say, high
Yes.
risk. It's
Yeah.
not high risk. I mean, would any of us look back over 20 years and say, man, this has been such a risk? No, I don't know how we
Yeah.
function without this I'd be markedly worse,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
but it's a very short amount of risk at the beginning. And I mean, then it takes off. Like I said, I mean, it doesn't. You guys can speak into my life freely, and I can speak into yours, and I don't feel the fear of offense
right.
in either direction.
I think the fear and the risk is that any other part of our life, people will break us down for their own advantage, but we're not trying to get a leg up on you.
Right.
We're trying to get behind you
Well said.
for you to succeed. But in
Yeah.
any other aspect of our life, if you're a little bit vulnerable at work or whatever, people will try to destroy you
Yep.
just to get a promotion, just to get a raise, just to look better. And I think that's where that risk comes in place. Because like once guys, we get burned a couple times, we learn, we're like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. And then we just kind of, I'm trying to be
But I mean,
about
that's
myself.
that's the wisdom of what Adi and John were talking
Yeah.
about, where we're going in two different directions. You're building your kingdom, I'm building his,
Mhm.
and where I can't surround myself with people like you, because I can't be vulnerable and risk with people like you, because now it is a risk.
Mhm.
That's what we're saying.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
And there is a risk there, you know. It's like that saying, people are like tea bags. You don't know what they're made out of until they're in hot water,
Mhm.
Right.
you know. And it's like, that's why we trust each other, because we've been together for such a long time. And you know, over the course of decade plus, we've been through hot water with one another,
Mhm.
and we know how we react.
Mhm.
I know that when things get hard, John, Mark, Eddie, Jonathan, Jay, you guys don't turn on me because things are difficult. You guys don't turn on me because, you know, whatever. But we know, we trust each other. Okay, if things are hard, you guys have my back, you know.
Mhm.
And that is it. It is a good thing to keep an eye out for, you know, for the people around you, because not everybody is like that.
Right.
There are some people around us that, you know, just generally as people, that are not going to be that way. Whenever things are going to get difficult, they're going to turn on you. You do have
Right.
to be careful for
No.
that.
That's why this requires time.
Yeah.
It's not one drop in the hot water. It's multiple
Yeah. And-
years over years of it.
Each time it builds
Yeah.
more and more and more of that credibility.
Right. It's
You
the
know,
foxhole.
And you know, for people that are listening to this, you know, going, well, okay, I have to make some friends, and then I have to wait until the hard times come to go through them. What I want them to understand is, man, having hard conversations is hard times.
Yeah.
Like the
Facts.
fact that we've had hard conversations a couple of months into some of our relationship, where it's like, not like super hard ones, but like, hey man, like I'm concerned about this and I care
Yeah.
about you and I want you to do well. Okay, that's already building trust. It's already going through some hardships, you know what I mean? And then starting to do some projects together, starting to do some, you know, and that's important, right? Once you start doing projects together, that's where it really comes to the surface and you go, hey, I know I can count on you. Dude, little things where it's like, I didn't know, you know, like I'll give you an example. When we were first running Planning Center, right? It's a simple little thing, but like we're running Planning Center. I would send out requests for youth night, right? Because we ran everything through Planning Center, whether it was giving an exhortation for a prayer or worship, or the worship team handled all the worship side, but you know, the opening prayer, the message, all of that. I remember early on, it was brand new to all of us. You and I had a conversation about this. I don't know if you remember this, but we had a conversation because you wouldn't accept, it's a minor thing,
yeah.
but you wouldn't accept being scheduled, because we would schedule like 4 weeks out, and you wouldn't accept until like a couple of days before, right? And I remember getting really frustrated by that, because if you would decline, it gave me like 2 days to find somebody to, you know, refill the role, and I resend and resend it. Okay, out of my frustration, I could have easily called you and been like, dude, what are you doing? You know? And in my own flesh and in my own mind, I could have felt justified by that. But instead, right, the way that we approached it, had a conversation, I was like, hey, why do you wait until, so I'm not dictating, I'm asking, because right, in humility, it's like, well, maybe there's something here I don't understand. And sure enough, there was. And your thought process was, well, I don't want to decline, and correct me if I'm wrong, but your thought process was, I don't want to decline or accept right away because I don't know what my schedule is going to look like. So I'm waiting until it gets closer, because I don't want to say yes and then a week before flip and go no, and now I'm going to jam you up.
Right.
So it was actually a very intentional, considerate thing you were trying to approach, not realizing that the process actually jammed me up. Well, once we had clarity, you're like, oh, dude,
Right.
I'm sorry. I didn't even realize I was doing that to you. And then we fixed it.
Yep.
Now, if we didn't have that, that's a hardship. It's a confrontation. It's a conflict, because I could have come at you hard and you could have responded in pride and been like, well, then you know what? Don't schedule me at all. And it could have easily turned into that. But the funny thing about conflict in relationship, which conflict will always happen in relationship given enough time, it will either, after conflict, it will either separate you more or it'll make you closer together. It will not leave you the same.
Mhm.
And so it just depends on how you handle conflict. And the secret to going through conflict in relationship is humility.
Yep.
That is the absolute secret. And I remember that was a minor thing,
Yeah.
but going through that built our relationship better because I knew, okay, your intentions were good. I can trust that. You knew that if I see something where I'm concerned, I'm not just going to sit there and snap at you like other leaders did in your life at that time, but I'm actually just going to ask and go, hey, maybe I don't understand something.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to go through a giant hardship together. It was just a basic interaction, but we learned,
Yeah.
and we learned to trust one another through that.
Yeah, and it's like it was just my understanding of the situation and how I should proceed in it was different, and it didn't coincide well within working in a group,
Right.
in a team. So you just pointed it out to me. I realized, wait a minute, I am thinking about this wrong. Okay, well, I'm going to try it your way. Kind of readjust the way that I interact here, and I grew, and I appreciated it because it's like, well, I wasn't born knowing how to work in a team, work efficiently, so I got to learn that. So you bringing it up, it was a good thing for me.
Yeah. And depending on how I approached it would totally influence, how difficult it would be for you to answer well. And depending on how you answered is going to totally influence on my trust in you and how I'm going to respond to your answer.
Yeah.
And all of those things matter. But that's where credibility gets built because it's like, okay, I know that if I'm doing something that's kind of off, Eddie will approach it in a way to where what's at the key core? He cares about me.
Mhm.
Okay. And I know that when I approach you about something, what's at the key, like core center of all of this? Well, I know that your goal is a desire to do well. And that's what you concluded that you were doing well. Oh, okay, I'll adjust. And then you adjust. And it's very easy.
Yep.
Yeah. But we have to go through those things, which can be hard, can be difficult. They can go sideways. They can risk the relationship. We have to go through them if we're going to get closer. If not, all you're going to have is shallow relationships. Because you stopped at the first conflict and you never grew past it.
Mhm.
I think there's a big difference between humility of like taking the opportunity to listen and question yourself, and just I think it's a false humility of just agreeing for the sake of agreeing. It's like, oh, John, or Mark, you're kind of, you're doing this thing, and what do you think? You're like, oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I think I'm doing that thing. Yeah, okay, and then just agreeing so that you don't have confrontation.
Just to avoid the conversation.
Just to avoid confrontation.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you're not learning anything. If you don't believe that you made a mistake, and you're just agreeing like, oh, okay, and just so that you don't have confrontation, that's not solving anything.
Yeah. Now, because the goal isn't good production, the goal isn't put on a good service. The church isn't the service. The church is the people, right? So because the goal was our being made more and more and more into the image of Christ, the way that we approached that scenario wasn't, hey, Adi, I want an answer from you 3 weeks early. Okay, bye.
Our intentions on both ends
Right.
aligned.
Yes.
It was love God and love people.
Yep, that's it.
And I was able to love God and love people better because I adjusted, and it made me work better within the community. And then on your end, it was love God, love people, because you were loving me, communicating to me, hey, this is how you do things better. And I think it glorifies God because we both grew from that. Well, I grew from that.
Yeah. No, my goal and our goal, all of us, I know, has always been to develop people, not to develop institution systems and programs. Institution systems and programs are very important for the development of people. But the point is the development of people, is furthering God's kingdom. That's the whole point of the institutions and everything else. If the institution becomes the point, then it becomes a golden calf that replaces the bride, and it replaces the relationship between the bride and the groom, which is Christ.
Mhm.
The institution is never the point. It's something that helps the point, which is Christ and his relationship with mankind. And so because of that, I could have sat there and just told you, make this change, but you wouldn't have grown. And so my goal is very much to ask, well, why? I want to understand, how did we get here? How do we develop this? Because in the future, you're going to ask yourself the same questions. In the future, you're going to tell Mark the same thing. And Mark will go, why? And you'll go, I don't know. Just do it that way. That's the way Eddie likes it. That's a ridiculous answer.
Tradition for tradition's sake.
Yeah, honestly. Well,
There's a lack of curiosity.
yeah, that's the way that we've always done it. What a terrible answer.
Yeah.
It's the difference between fixing the problem and teaching me how to fix
Nice.
that sort of problem in
Yeah.
the future.
Yes.
It's the difference between, because if you just tell me to do that, it's the easiest way because I might just adjust there and there. I
Yes.
do it that way all the time. But every other
Yes.
place where it's the same sort of thing, just a different scenario, I'm not going to adjust there, right? Because I don't know to. Because I don't know what the thought process is. I don't know what you're looking for. I don't know I don't know any of that.
Yeah.
All I know is accept 3 weeks, whatever, on planning center for this thing. Right. Done.
You know what?
I know
You
what.
don't know why.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's why the why matters. Yeah. Let me ask you guys a different question. Kind of building on to where we were earlier in the conversation, anyways. Is being introspective and self-aware important to your personal growth? And if so, how?
Not at all.
Not at all. What does that
Perfect.
mean? Well, what does introspective mean to you?
It's the ability to look inward, right?
Yeah.
Can I accurately see myself the way you all see me?
Nice.
Mhm.
Accurately is the key
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
It's the way Dr. Garman puts it is he goes, everybody's playing a movie between their ears, meaning in your head, about their own life that only they can see.
Yes.
That's a really good way to put it.
This movie sucks.
That's a horror shit.
It's a comedy.
Oh man. So why introspective? Why does that matter? Why is it important? Can you grow without being introspective? There's a good question.
Not at all.
No.
But if you can't diagnose the problem, what are you fixing?
And right,
Nice.
well said.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to measure yourself by your actions, not your intentions.
Nice.
Nice. Well
Because
said.
we all have really good intentions, but they don't come off that way. And if you're able to, I guess, decouple yourself from that and see, like, how actually did I come across? Okay, I was a little bit more hostile than I actually wanted to be, or just because I put the words in this order, it came off a little bit more hostile than I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And I think if you're able to make that distinction between the two, it helps out a lot. Because then you don't have to be made fun of. You don't have to have people come and sit you down and say, hey, you suck and you need to fix this. It's more of you're just constantly analyzing like how other people just behave between themselves. Like, okay, Mark said this to Eddie responded this way. When have I done that or
Yes.
responded that way or asked that type of question? And then you're just constantly always working on yourself by catching interactions around you than just going through life like you're the center of the universe.
Right.
And that's a skill that's developed over time.
Oh,
Yes.
It's not like
yeah.
instantly like I'm like
It doesn't
Eddie
accidentally
Eddie
get
level
developed.
introspective. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, why do I do this? I don't know. And then I hit a wall. And it's like, okay, don't stop there. Like ask people around you, like Eddie, like, hey, I hit this wall. What other tools do you have in your arsenal that can help me to figure out this problem? You know, it's like, it's a skill that's developed over time, you know, and like how everybody's saying is like, well, first of all, you have to be honest with yourself, see yourself accurately, you know, don't judge yourself based off of your intentions, but okay, like, did I do this? You know?
Yeah, you have to be self-aware.
Mhm.
And so many people think that they're self-aware because they know what's valuable, but your values aren't what you think they are. Your values are what you do. How do we know this?
Right.
Matthew 6:21, where it says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So what you actually treasure, what you value, is where your heart is. Well, how do I know what I value? Easy, super easy. What I actually value is what it is that I'm willing to spend to purchase, right? Because a value comes with a cost. So what I'm actually willing to buy is what I value. Buy with what? With my money and with my time.
Yep.
So what I spend my money and what I spend my time on is what I value. Not what I think I value. What I do is what I value. And so at the end of the day, don't ask yourself, for those, people that are listening, this is a question that we ask ourselves all the time. We ask ourselves, what do I actually do? I'm not going to ask myself, what do I think I should do? What do I think are the values of society? What do I aspire to do? What do I actually do? That's who I am.
Right.
Look, if I think lying is a sin, right? And I think it's bad to lie, okay? Thinking that doesn't mean that I'm not a liar. Not lying means that I'm not a liar.
Yep.
Okay? If I think that lying is bad and only bad people lie, and I lie, then I'm the definition that I ascribed to somebody who lies. I'm a liar. I'm a bad person for lying all the time. So just because I think that lying is bad doesn't mean that I'm not a liar. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Right.
really evident. It's so fundamental. It's so basic. But because we like to self-preserve, and because we like to have really high opinions of ourselves, and because of pride, we don't want to call ourselves a liar. And so we go, well, you know what? I know that lying's bad, so therefore that's enough. And that's not true at all. We have to be introspective. We have to be honest. Or else you can't fix what you don't know is broken. And that comes back to awareness is curative.
And you know, it's also really important. Like, you guys have helped me realize this too. It's like, when it comes to looking at yourself accurately, okay, follow that. Don't, like, an issue that I had, and we've had multiple conversation, is comparing. You know, like, oh, Eddie's at this level, Adi's at this level, John's at this level, Jonathan's at this level, Jay's at this level. It's like, but I want that, so I'm gonna judge myself based off of where they're at. It's like, no. Where was I a month ago? Where was I a year ago? You know, and judge yourself according to that aspect. Don't look at your neighbor's yard and see how green his grass.
That's assessing your tools that you're assessing yourself with.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, Eddie's this way. Am I this way? That's not the right tool.
Yeah.
You should be assessing yourself with.
Now you're assessing the tools of assessment. Yeah, no, I mean, that's really meta. You know, it's good. But it's the right approach. And the other thing you were saying earlier, Mark, you know, because people might be listening and they're like, okay, well, you know, Mark, you have an Adi, you have an Eddie, you have all these other guys around you. What about me? Like, what I want people to understand is you don't need to have like some sage, some old man on the mountain in your life that can invest into your life. The truth is, I heard this quote that I really enjoyed. When you're in the bottle, you can't read the label.
Yeah.
Easy. Dude, when you're in it, you're underneath the influence of all of the desires that you have and all of the emotional attachments that you have for whatever decision you need to make. You need an outside perspective from somebody who is honest, somebody who loves you, and somebody who is objective. Somebody who's going to tell you the truth, you know? And then, listen, if you want people to tell you the truth, make it easy for them to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
It's so silly where people are like, dude, nobody's ever honest with me. But last time somebody was, you flipped out on them.
You have to fight them to help you.
Yeah. Oh, see, I'm sorry. It gets exhausting having to fight people to help them. They go, tell me the truth. And Jay, you and I had a conversation about this not that long ago.
I'm sorry.
About a young lady. What's that?
I'm sorry.
No, about a young lady that asked you a question and asked me a question. Asked us both the same question. I don't know if she really liked our answer.
No,
She
not
was
at all.
like-
Not at all.
She
It
was
the
like,
same
"Be honest
answer.
with me." Yeah, she was like, be honest with me. You know, and we were honest with her. And it's funny because it wasn't even the same conversation. It was months apart, but we had the same answer.
Yeah, I substitute your reality with my own. That's what they do. They're just like, oh, this is the reality. Well, I don't like that reality, so this is what reality actually is. Like, no, that's fiction. You can't do that.
Reality isn't what you want. It's just what it is. And so what ends up happening sometimes is, often now in my life, is people go, hey, Eddie, could you be like, you know, honest with me? And I'll go, what do you want? Do you want me to be honest with you? Or do you want me to just support your opinion? Okay. They'll tell me the scenario and then I'll tell them again. And I'll go, listen, I may say that you were in the wrong because of X, Y, and Z. I may say that you were in the right because of X, Y, and Z. Are you fine with both answers? You have to be honest with yourself. And a lot of times they'll gamble and they'll go, yeah, I'm fine. Because in their heads, they're thinking he's going to give me the good answer. They're not being honest with themselves. You're not being aware. You're not being introspective. You're not being honest. And then they have to accept either what you said, or because the cognitive dissonance happens, they're not happy with what you said because it doesn't match their reality, but they don't want to let go of their reality. So then they have to create some sort of a justification as to why they hang on to their reality, which is that you're a jerk.
Yep.
You see how it all just lays out, right? I mean, and we've all had experiences like that. And you're like, dude, you asked me, I told you, and now you're mad at me. This is ridiculous. Yeah, and that it is hard sometimes, you know, but listen, here's what I genuinely believe. I would rather somebody hate me for what I honestly believe than to love me for what I'm not. I'm really not.
Yes.
That's the truth. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I'm right, but I'd rather just be straight with you.
Mm.
And if you don't like it, that's okay. If you're an honest person, please help me. Please help me. If I'm wrong, I want to know where I'm wrong. That's why all of my beliefs are open for debate. We can discuss them because I'm trying to find truth. But I don't have tolerance and I don't have an openness to people that I know that want to harm me. If I know that your intentions aren't to harm me, I'm not debating anything with you. You're just trying to hurt me. You know what I mean? But if I know that you care about me or that you care about truth, or that you're a genuine, person, dude, wide open. Let's have a conversation. Please. I don't have all the answers. Do I still have growth to do in life? Of course I do, which means that who I am today isn't who I hope to be in a year from now. I hope to be better. I hope to have some things fixed in my life, which means some things are broken. And I'm trying to figure those things out. And that's okay. I know that I'm not, perfect and figured out and solved. But if there are people who love God and love me who want to come alongside and say, hey, man, I'm kind of worried about this. Dude, I'm wide open. Please tell me. Because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Now, there's also a large group of people that always want to tell you you're wrong because they don't like the way that you're living your life. And it's not because they're introspective and honest. It's because it's revealing of something in their life that they're insecure about. So they have to talk about why what you're doing is wrong, not because they have a problem with you, but because they're trying to vocally out loud justify why they're not doing what you're doing. And those people, I don't have time. Because here's how you can tell if you're in that conversation. Sorry, this is kind of off topic, but here's how you can tell you're in that conversation. It's funny. I learned this. Somebody comes and they go, hey, Eddie, you said you were like open to talk about like, any of your beliefs. Here's something that I've seen in your life that I'm concerned about. And I go, oh, great. Let's unpack it. And I'll unpack it. I'll go, here's what I know. Here's what I believe. Which part's off? And they don't actually have an argument.
Yes.
Because in revealing and unpacking that, it also reveals and unpacks their point of view. It reveals how they view that subject in their life, that they haven't fully gone through it and fleshed it out. Because if the goal is to fully flesh out an idea, I might grow from it because maybe I'm wrong, or you might grow from it, but they don't want to grow. They just want their way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And so and then here's what you can tell. If you sit there and you unpack it, and then all of a sudden they become really illogical in their process. We're like, well, look, I do the letter, I do step E. And the reason why I do step E is because A equals B and B equals C, C equals D, D equals E. That's how I got the E. Is that what you're seeing in your formula in life? And they're like, well, I just think that you just need to stop. Okay, do you see the formula that I laid out though? What do you mean I just need to stop? Okay, but why? Well, because it's bad. Okay, but why is it bad? Well, I just don't think that this should be like that. Oh, so you don't have a reason at all. Okay, it might just be because of the waters that you swam in. It might be because of the way that you were raised. It might be because it's hitting an insecurity in your life that you don't want to talk about. And that's okay. I'm not mad at you. But that's a good way of figuring out if they actually had a conversation with you to talk about, or if they're just, venting.
Us as men, we know a lot of the things the things that we do. We know the why we do them.
We try to, at least us. I do.
Yes. And if somebody comes up to me and says, hey man, I think the thing that you're doing is bad, I'm open for discussion. But it's not just me like not challenging your thought process. Like, okay, I believe that what I'm doing is correct. Let's have a conversation about it. And people get emotional. Well, I just think that way. That's just what I believe. Okay, that's fine. You believe that. But until you can actually logically explain to me how this is wrong and how it's not wrong, or vice versa, you're not having a conversation at that point. At that point, you're just, like how you said, pointing out the insecurities that you have in your life and trying to put it on me.
Yeah. When I say, man, I'm open to discuss it, I don't mean I want to argue about it. I'm not trying to be argumentative. You're not on one side of the argument, I'm on the other, and now we're enemies fighting each other. No, I'm saying come next to me shoulder to shoulder and let's look at this thing together, and please tell me what you see, because maybe I don't see some things that you see.
Yeah.
So I'm open for that. But if you want to fight with me, dude, I don't have time for that. I'm not trying to argue with people. What am I going to do? Argue with every single person on earth? Who's got time?
Yeah.
People just want you to do what they want, but they don't want any of the responsibility that comes with that.
Yes.
I've had numerous times when I was in sound ministry, people were like, Justin, we need to do this. Oh, I don't do that because X, Y, and Z, and I've been burned because of X, Y, and Z. And they're like, well, we need to do that. I'm like, no, like I'm in charge, and we don't do that because of these 3 reasons. You don't have a good reason for us to do it the other way. But they're like, well, I really think like, hey, do you want to be in charge? Well, no. Okay, then as long as I'm in charge, we do it for these 3 reasons.
Right.
And then some people are just snakes. They'll go around your back and start talking into the ears, like this person, into all of my sound guys. And now they're coming to talk to me about the scenario. I'm like, oh, we don't do this because X, Y, and Z. And like, oh, that makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah. And tell that person if they want to discuss it further, they can come talk to me. Like, I'm tired of them going to all of you guys and now eroding our team because they're not getting their way.
Yeah.
They're one step away from getting fired.
Yeah. No, it's very disingenuous. And the truth is when people can't control you, they'll try to control your influence. Yeah. And that's always a dangerous place, but it's also extremely revealing.
Yeah. And it erodes the trust of the entire organization.
Which slows down how long it takes to get anything done. That's why bureaucracy goes through the roof. And the cost, it skyrockets. Yeah. Craig Rochelle had a great definition of policy in any corporation and in any church, right? Policy, like bureaucratic policy, all it is it is organizational scar tissue. So well said. It's something where somebody got cut once, so we have to make a rule so that way that cut doesn't happen again, and it just becomes scar tissue. And if there's enough scar tissue, it actually ceases the functioning of the system. Yeah. So let me ask you a question, Jay. The first half of the question is for you and me. The second half is for everybody. But it's a tool of assessment, is what it is. What do I think that my current kids or my future kids, or hope that my future kids will remember from their childhood? It's a great question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, what do I hope my boys, Franklin and Moses, will remember out of their childhood whenever they're older? Because, you have your childhood memories. What do I wish my kids, John, what do you hope that your kid that's coming in a couple of months after they grow up and they're in their 20s, what do you hope that they'll remember from their childhood? Jonathan, Adi, Mark, whenever you guys have kids, what do you hope that your kids will remember from their childhood? I'll start. I really hope that Franklin and Moses will remember that I was always available to them. Like that matters so much to me. Like, I hope that they will always remember that as busy as I was, I took the time to play with them. That when I came home and I was exhausted from projects and everything else, that I was just available. It's extremely revealing because realizing that, it makes me think, that's what I wanted from my dad growing up. I wish he was more available.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I didn't realize that until I, walked through that question, and it makes me kind of choked up because I love my kids. And so, I want them to have a good childhood, but I want us to be close. That's like what matters the most to me, is that they know that I'm in their corner and that all of my goals are for their success and that everything I do to support them. And I'm not saying that in any negative way towards my parents. I love my mom and dad, and I think they did a great job to the best of their ability of raising us. And when I think of their history and where they've come from and everything else, if I can go half as far as they've gone in their life, I'll go far in life. Like, they're excellent, amazing people who I love. We don't agree on everything, of course. No kids ever agreed with their parents on everything. Never going to happen, but that's what I would hope for my kids, that they would look back and go, you know what, as hard as Dad worked, he was always there for us. He was always available. If I needed him, he was there. And even, not just even if I needed him, if I wanted to spend time with him, he would spend time with us. The danger that I have is that they always want to spend time together because they're bored,
Oh no, the problems.
Yeah. And they're like, Dad, will you spend time with us? I was like, I just spent like 4 hours with you. What are you talking about? I got to get to work, kid,
The steak is too juicy, man.
Oh, that's so well put, though. So well put. Because, that's kind of all of our upbringings, is our parents had to fight for everything they had in this country because they didn't know anything. They didn't know the language.
And they didn't have anything.
No, they were busy just working, establishing a life. And I'm not exceptionally, but I'm eternally grateful for the sacrifices they made, because how hard was it for us just to move across the country?
Right.
They moved an entire continent traveled by boat or airplane, whatever, and didn't even understand the language and just faked it till they made it. And they made it, man.
Yeah, they did.
Like, they're way better off than the majority of this nation. And it's like, I can't sit here and cry and be like, my dad never spent time with me because he was working all the time. No, we had food on the table every single night. They gave us food, shelter, never had to worry about that. But I think it's always a good responsibility of parents to, where did my parents take me and where can I take my kids even further? And
Right.
hopefully they continue that cycle and have what people call as privilege.
Right. That didn't come free. Somebody
No,
worked
it
for
didn't.
that.
Somebody worked very, very hard for that. Most people do. It's very rare where people don't.
Yeah.
But for my girls, I think it's right. What you said was just that I was there for them when they needed me, and that hopefully their entire life that they'll realize, like, hey, I can always go to dad. I know he's not going to judge me. He's not going to just belittle me, make fun of me, but he's going to be there, listen to what I have to say, and try to help me the best that he can.
Right.
And hopefully also model a good, healthy Christian relationship and what, a good marriage is.
Right.
Because I have 2 daughters, so hopefully I can be the role model and a good role model for them on who they should marry.
Right.
And actually have a good enough relationship that they'll want to marry somebody like me who has the traits that I do, not the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Or something that's going to hurt them long term. If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
100%. Makes perfect sense. Fellas, what are you guys' thoughts? I know it's probably not something you think about often because you don't have kids yet, but, what would you hope that your kids would remember from their childhood?
For me, it's that I deeply love them. Like, as a guy, like the way that I don't have kids, but the way that a mother loves their kids versus a father, how he loves their kids, it might be different, and to some extent, it may not look like it's all lovey-dovey, but it's like, it's going to be kind of like a hard love, like I'm going to do things that they may not like, but because I love them, we're going to do this, and I don't want them to be like, okay, my dad's this way or whatever, because he doesn't want me to enjoy this or he doesn't want me to have fun. It's like, no, because I love you. I see it the way that God loves me, it's like, I don't have my way in a lot of things, the way that I want it.
Right.
But because God loves me, he set up parameters that I should be operating in, and when I actually take the time to reflect, like, shoot, man, God does actually love me, like that's what I want to display, hopefully, for my future kids.
Yeah. And that's what they're going to remember when they're older, when they're your age today. Yeah. And that's awesome. Any other thoughts?
I wish you wouldn't have said the second part where it says it's revealing. I was thinking about, I was like, oh, shoot.
How vulnerable do you want to be?
Yeah. Oh, man. It's funny because growing up, and Mark knows this, we'd always be like, Dad, are we going to Disneyland? Yeah, soon. Yeah, soon. Soon turned out to be never. Or go fishing, or go hunting, go camping, whatever. And it's like Crystal and I, we talk a lot about how we're going to raise our kid and how we want to establish habits of like going on yearly camping trips and fishing and stuff
Build
like
family
that.
traditions.
Exactly. Building healthy family traditions. And it was actually really revealing because growing up, I don't have any, I love my dad,
Yeah.
He exactly like what you said, Jay, he put food on the table for us. We didn't have to struggle with hunger or whatever. But I don't have any memories of going fishing with him or going on just a guy's, little camp trip or whatever. It's like, I want to establish that with my boy, and for him, when he grows up, whenever he wants to think of masculinity and what it means to be a man, the first thing that comes into his mind is, what did my dad do?
Right.
Nice.
Not, oh, look, like this TV show or this movie or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, no, the example of what it means to be a man is my dad.
Yeah. Nice.
Like that's what I want them to remember.
Really well said, John. Yeah. I don't want my sons to have to look anywhere else for what it means to be a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good. I'll take that one.
Yeah.
That's true though, right?
Mhm.
You know? Yeah. It's funny, man, because all of our parents were extremely successful. And the reason why I say that is because as a mom and as a dad, right? As parents, you want your kids to be better than you are. Their goals was to make sure to provide what they didn't have,
Mm.
which is food and shelter and
Mhm.
safety and opportunity.
Mhm.
And they provided what they didn't have. And those things, I'm sorry, those things are fundamental.
Yeah.
Right.
Those things are primary. Those things come first in line, you know. And we had a relationship with them, you know. But hey, can we go to Disneyland? Can we, you know what I mean? Like all of these extra things. Those are nobody's talking about Disneyland if there isn't food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And so the goals of our parents were, hey, I want you to have more than I did growing up, and I want you to be better than me. Our goals are already building on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Because we're not sitting here going, dude, I hope I have food on the table for my kids. I've already got that established because of everything that my dad did, everything that my mom did. And now I get to sit here and aspire to greater goals that they never had the opportunity to aspire to.
Mm.
And I think it's pretty awesome. And I think that that's the definition of success. Like, you want your kids to be better than you. We're already setting higher goals than they were able to set.
Yeah.
Because we get to start far further in life than they got to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good.
That's huge.
Mhm.
Next question. I got just a couple more, fellas. Just a couple more. Yeah, actually, I'm going to ask you just one more. And this will be our parting question. In this life, what do you hope for? Like, what do you hope for out of your Christianity? What do you hope for when you reach the end of your life? What do you look back and go, man, I really hope that whenever I get to the end of my life, I'll have accomplished these things. I'll have fulfilled something. What are your hopes as men? Because oftentimes we talk about, you know, different people's hopes, but as men, I don't think we really reflect a lot on hope. I remember I was having a conversation with a young man, friend of mine, and I said, bro, he's involved with the youth ministry in another church in a different state. And I said, bro, I go, look, if you had the freedom to do whatever you wanted to do, everything that you wanted to do for the Lord, what would you do? You know, just complete freedom. Like God said, swing for the fences, kid. Go for it. What would you do? And he goes, I've never even asked myself that question. I thought it was such an interesting thing. We should ask ourselves that question. Like, if I could do everything in my heart for God that I want to do, everything that I want to accomplish in this life, what would I do? Like, what do I hope will happen? I don't want to just live on autopilot. And I'll tell you what I hope. I saw this interview. It was just a reel that came up on my Instagram feed. I think about it often. Mike Tyson, later on in his life, has been really introspective because he's gone through so much trauma in his life. And I really enjoy Mike Tyson. Like, he's not a Christian. I don't agree with a lot of his lifestyle, but I enjoy the journey that I feel like the Holy Spirit has him on, to be perfectly honest. And he's on this podcast, and, you know, one of the guys is talking to him, and he goes, Mike, you're the greatest. You're like one of the greats in boxing. I mean, you're so great. You're great. And he keeps on going, no, 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 no. And he goes, but you are. Like, you're the greatest. And he goes, look. And it was just such a quick response. Like, it just came out of him. And he goes, he goes, I'm not great. He goes, look. He goes, I've known a lot of great men in my life, but I haven't known a lot of good men. And he goes, and I just want to be a good man. And he gets all choked up, and the interviewers get all choked up and stuff. And I got choked up. And even now I'm thinking about it. It's, you know, choking me up. But dude, like, that's my goal in life. Like, I hope that at the end of my life, I can look back on it and know that I did everything that I could to be a good man, to follow my convictions, to not be a coward, and to just serve the Lord to the best of my ability. What do I hope? I hope that my boys marry well. I hope that Simila's little sister, Felicia, who's lived with us for a decade now, who's practically our adopted daughter at this point, that she marries well. I hope that they're healthy, that they're safe. But at the end of the day, man, I just hope that I did everything that I could that every day that I woke up and I fought to go to work, or I fought to make money, or I fought to do whatever, that the fight that I fight was a fight that was worth fighting, and that I lived a life that was worth living in pursuit of knowing that, I was a good, godly man in pursuit of the Lord. And that's it. Like, that's my hope in life.
Mm.
And then everything that I do, I try to do in pursuit of that. Like, I don't want to betray my hope. So I'm not going to cut corners on this. I know no one's going to see it. I don't care. I see it. And I'm not okay with me living that way. Because I have people, sometimes that look at my life and they're like, oh, Eddie, you're too much. Everything doesn't need to be so perfect. And I don't think that I need to have everything so perfect. But I do like doing things with excellence because I do it in a way to where I feel like it honors the Lord. I can't sing for the life of me, but I can do things well as an act of worship. And that's what I do. And so, like, that's what I'm after. That's what I hope for in my life. There's other hopes that I have. I hope I make more money so that I can leave a bigger inheritance to my kids. I hope to be able to fund ministers in ministry, because I know what it's like to be a minister not funded in ministry. I hope to, lead my wife well. I hope to lose a little bit more weight. I hope to, you know what I mean? Like, you have hopes, but yeah, I feel like my biggest hope in life is that the fights that I fight are a fight that's worth fighting, and to live a life that's worth living. Like, that's what I'm after. What do you guys hope for? Like, what are some of your hopes? Small, big, doesn't matter.
I mean, yeah, I hope to find, the right person, get married, have kids, all that, and be a
Yeah.
good father and husband. But when people ask that, I always get a little terrified of the parable. The parable of the talents, and God going, "You squandered it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, that kills me.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope to be found faithful.
Yeah,
That's it, man.
He's given all of us a lot of influence over people in our lives. Like, I am terrified of not using those talents well. And like, because we've been talking about a couple of my buddies that I work with they're coming. The Lord's been doing a lot of work on them, and they're becoming Christians, and they're very new in their walk, and just going, yeah, but you missed a couple because you just wanted it.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's so well put. And I think that resonates with all of us as men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like, Lord, what did you give me, and was I faithful with it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I was on my deathbed and looking back, I think what I would want is to have impacted both my immediate family and the people that God has placed around me. Like, hopefully I will have made disciples that grew from me and now are making more disciples, and that ripples out, because it's like, after we're gone, we're gone.
That's it.
And you could have made all the money in the world, but after you're gone, you're gone. Your children might use it well, might not. There's only a small amount of things that actually ripple on beyond your passing. And I think that's, making disciples and impacting people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the thing that I want to have achieved on my deathbed, that I'll actually look back on and value.
Yeah.
Right. Like, none of us are going to make a Billy Graham, a Charlie Kirk influence, but did my influence and my ripples go as far as they could?
Yeah. Was I faithful with what God gave me and where he called me?
Yeah. Because maybe you won't make that same sort of impact, but
I wasn't given the 15 talents like they were.
yeah, you can make
Was
the
my
same-
one talent, did I use it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't even know what that one talent will do after you're gone.
Yeah. Right.
Because that maybe your disciple that you're discipling, yeah, they're not going to be the next Charlie Kirk, but they might produce the next Charlie Kirk or Billy Graham or whoever.
Right.
So
We've got our own disciples. But
yeah,
I want it to be multiplicative.
yeah.
They're going to make more disciples than I did.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's piggybacking off of all of our answers, because I feel like we all have the same desires,
Of course.
and I've said this before, where it's like, at the end of the day, like, if I'm on my deathbed, I want to know that everything that the Lord told me to do, I did it, like that faithful part,
Mhm.
like whenever I go into heaven and I'm there, like standing before Christ, that he says, well done, good and faithful servant.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. You know, whatever it costed me, whatever I had to do, wherever I had to go, like if God told me to move to Africa, like okay, like I'm going, you know? It's like that relentless pursuit of him no matter the cost.
Yeah.
Mm.
Excellent. Well said.
Yeah. That's very similar to what we're all saying for mine.
We all have the same burden, and it resonates with men.
Yeah. I think of the whole journey that we've all been through, and God carrying us through all the hardship, and there's a reason for it. There's a plan that he had.
Yeah.
And my hope at on my deathbed is looking back and seeing God's fingerprint through all of it.
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, because of your faithfulness, this whole mission is going to continue on well after you've passed.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, welcome home, enter into your rest. You good and faithful servant.
You know, a lot of times you look at success, right? Because we're geared for success as men. We look at success and you know, we look at other people's success and we go, okay, that's what it means to be like. Like the best Christian is like, you know, like Billy Graham we were saying earlier, or Charlie Kirk, or right? Like that guy was like a level 10 Christian, you know? And don't get me wrong, like God's had tremendous calling in their life, but I've been studying so much of John the Baptist lately, and I love that he had so much promise. 400 years of silence, and then the angel Gabriel shows up and announces. I mean, think about it from his father's perspective. And all of his life, he's been living on promises that haven't been fulfilled.
Mhm.
And finally, at the age of 30, his ministry starts, but he doesn't go to priest school like his father, Zechariah, who was a priest. He was a Levite. Naturally, you would assume he's going to have to follow the trend. He's going to have to follow the path that was set before him. He's got to be a priest. And angel Gabriel came and he had all these different experiences and promises were made about him. Surely John the Baptist will become, you know, a priest, maybe the high priest, because through his mother, he was in the direct lineage of Aaron. And so that would make him eligible to become a high priest. Never becomes a priest. Goes into the wilderness. A big kind of revival, hayfire, spiritual thing happens. A couple months later, he's dead. That's wild. From our perspective of trying to compare to like your Charlie Kirks and your Billy Grahams and your Francis Chans, your whoever, we'd look at that and, you know, it doesn't seem very successful. But Jesus says of John the Baptist, no man born of a woman is greater than John the Baptist. And it's like, man, the measure for success is faithfulness. And that's the thing that we're all burdened by. I just want to be faithful, man. I just want to be what God's called me to be. That's it. And the struggle of that pursuit is a good foundation for masculinity. Now, fellas, it's been a really, really good time hanging out. For all of our people, you know, online listening and so on, these are all regular conversations that float around through our time together all the time. This is very common for us. This is kind of the world that we live in. This and a lot of jokes. Yeah, we have a really, really good time together. And so I just want to encourage, you know, young men or, you know, even older men. Hey, if you don't have a brotherhood, so one, don't look for what you're not. Be what you would like to find. All right. So go find other brothers and just start caring for them, and then it'll develop on its own. And two, pray. Pray and say, Father, would you help me find some guys as well that I can just do life together with, but actually like really get into the nitty gritty and so on. It's not going to look perfect. There's going to be a process of development. It's fine, but it's going through that journey of development together that builds the brotherhood. And so we just, you know, we hope and we pray that brotherhoods exist all over this country that are healthy, that are not shallow, that are deep, and where men can come together to invest in one another and grow more and more and more to be made into the image of the Son of God. So we love you guys, and we're thankful, and we're excited, and yeah, it's been a good time being together, fellas.
Yeah.
All right, thanks for joining us. Love you guys. God bless.